How often do we walk past someone, offer a polite smile, and move on, never realizing we just passed a battlefield disguised as a person? We see so much, yet we understand so little. Today, I invite you to look again, not with your eyes, but with your heart. True strength lies in the stories behind our scars. Each scar, whether visible or invisible, carries a tale of resilience, courage, and survival. But often we are quick to judge people by their appearances, unaware of the battles they've endured in silence. But if we pause, reflect, and inspect beyond the surface, we begin to recognize the depth of human experience hidden behind every smile, every tear, and every scar. When we look at someone's journey only through the lens of their achievements or failures, we miss the essence of who they are. The true narrative exists in the moments of struggle, in the nights spent in pain, and in the choices made in darkness. Scars are not symbols of weakness. They are medals of honor earned through facing adversity. Behind every scar is a decision to rise again, to keep moving forward, to embrace life despite this unpredictability. Many of us are conditioned to hide our scars. We cover them up, ashamed of what they might reveal. The society teaches us that perfection is the goal, that vulnerability is a flaw. But the truth is, our imperfections are our greatest strength. They connect us, they humanize us, they give others the courage to embrace their own wounds. It is only when we share our stories that we begin to heal, not just ourselves, but also those who listen. Think of a person who has faced unimaginable loss and yet continues to smile. That smile is not shallow. It's forged through pain, shaped by endurance, and powered by hope. It tells a story far more powerful than words ever could. When we begin to notice such stories, we develop a deeper appreciation for life. Not just our own, but the lives of those around us. We start to value the invisible strength that keeps people going, even when the world doesn't notice. Every scar comes with a lesson. Sometimes it teaches patience. Other times it teaches empathy or the value of inner peace. What matters most is not the wound itself, but what it shaped in the process of healing. This perspective transforms our view of strength from something hard and unbreakable to something compassionate, enduring, and quietly powerful. Inspecting deeply means learning to ask, what have you overcome to stand where you are? It means looking beyond polished appearances and practice smiles to understand the resilience it takes just to be. It reminds us that everyone we meet is fighting a battle we may never fully understand. When we recognize this, our interactions become more compassionate, more authentic, and more empowering. Beauty is not in what we see, but in what we understand. We often live in a world that celebrates appearances, perfect smiles, flawless skin, ideal shapes. But the essence of beauty cannot be captured by our eyes alone. It is only when we begin to understand a person's journey, values, and emotions that we witness a beauty that goes far beyond the physical. This kind of beauty doesn't fade. It deepens with time, with empathy, and with connection. There is a profound difference between seeing and understanding. Seeing is passive. It is what happens when we glance at someone or something. Understanding, on the other hand, requires intention. It asks us to slow down, to listen, to observe without judgment. When we take the time to truly understand, we begin to recognize the quiet strength behind someone's smile, the kindness in their actions, and the pain they carry with grace. That is where real beauty lives. We are taught to admire perfection, but perfection is an illusion. Real beauty lies in authenticity, in the raw, unfiltered moments that reveal who someone truly is. When a person speaks from the heart, when they share their fears, dreams, and truths without a mask, it creates a moment of connection that is deeply beautiful. It reminds us that vulnerability is not something to hide, but something to celebrate. Understanding also allows us to redefine our standards of beauty. A person who has known hardship often develops a kind of grace that cannot be taught. Their eyes may carry sadness, but they also reflect strength. Their hands may show the wear of time, but they speak of care, of effort, of love given freely. When we take the time to understand their story, we begin to see beauty in places we once overlooked. We often judge people in a matter of seconds by their clothes, their skin, their posture. But if we pause and look deeper, we might see the artist in the way someone expresses themselves, the poet in the way they speak, the healer in the way they comfort others. These are not things the eyes can immediately detect. They are discovered through understanding, through the willingness to see beyond what is obvious. True beauty is also found in resilience. It is in the way someone rises after being broken, in the way they choose kindness even after being hurt. These qualities don't shout for attention. They are quiet, steady, and profound. They don't rely on compliments or validation. They exist in the depth of a person's character, and they become visible only when we take the time to truly understand them. To understand is to connect. It's an act of love. It is how we build bridges instead of walls, how we move from judgment to compassion. When we start seeing people not just as they appear, but as they truly are within, we open ourselves to a world where beauty is no longer superficial, but soulful. Empathy begins where judgment ends. As human beings, we often fall into the habit of forming opinions about others based on limited information. How they look, how they speak, what they wear, or the choices they've made. Judgment is easy because it allows us to create a narrative that suits our perspective. But empathy requires effort. It asks us to pause, to silence the noise of assumption, and to make room for someone else's truth. Judgment builds walls, while empathy opens doors. The moment we stop labeling people by their circumstances or decisions, we begin to see the human being behind the story. We begin to ask what happened to them instead of what's wrong with them. That one question shifts everything. It allows us to approach others not from a place of superiority, but from a place of shared humanity. We all struggle. We all carry wounds. And sometimes, all it takes is one person who chooses to understand rather than criticize. Empathy is not about fixing someone's life or offering perfect words. It's about presence. It's about sitting with someone in their pain without needing to rescue them or change them. It's about holding space for their feelings, even when those feelings are uncomfortable. When we judge, we close ourselves off. But when we empathize, we open ourselves up to connection, healing, and growth, not only for others, but also for ourselves. There is often a reason behind every action, even if we do not understand it at first. A person who lashes out may be carrying years of suppressed pain. Someone who is quiet may be protecting their heart from further hurt. The truth is, we rarely know the full story, and yet we are quick to draw conclusions. Empathy challenges us to slow down and listen. It teaches us to ask questions, to seek understanding rather than control, and to recognize that every person is shaped by experiences we may never see. Choosing empathy over judgment also softens our own hearts. It makes us more compassionate, more patient, and more present. It changes how we see the world and how we see ourselves. When we become less reactive and more reflective, we begin to understand that every person we encounter is doing their best with what they have in the moment they are in. That realization brings peace, not just to our relationships with others, but to the way we treat ourselves. Empathy is a skill, a practice, and a mindset. It grows when we listen without interrupting, when we witness without analyzing, and when we allow others to be who they are without needing them to meet our expectations. The absence of judgment creates a safe space, a space where people can be vulnerable, honest, and free. It is in that space that true connection flourishes, and where healing quietly begins. Every soul carries a silent struggle. Look with your heart, not just your eyes. We walk through life surrounded by people who appear composed, successful, or even joyful on the surface. Yet beneath that exterior, there may be stories of pain, fear, or loss that remain unspoken. In a world that values performance over presence and presentation over truth, it's easy to miss the battles others are silently fighting. But when we choose to look with our hearts, we begin to sense what the eyes cannot perceive. The heart sees differently. It does not rely on appearances or social masks. It senses emotions, picks up on the subtle shifts in tone, the quiet pauses in conversations, the tired smile, or the distant gaze. When we engage with others through the heart, we create a space for authenticity. We stop expecting people to be strong all the time. We stop demanding perfection. Instead, we offer our presence, our patience, and our understanding. So many people are carrying burdens they feel they cannot share. Grief that has lingered too long, anxiety that overwhelms them daily, guilt they can't shake off, or memories that haunt them in silence. These inner battles rarely announce themselves. They don't show up in obvious ways. Sometimes they appear on the form of irritability, detachment, or even forced happiness. When we look only with our eyes, we may judge or misinterpret these behaviors. But when we look with compassion, we begin to ask deeper questions. Mate. We begin to wonder what someone might be going through behind that expression, behind that moment of silence, behind the effort to appear fine. Looking with the heart also means giving others the benefit of the doubt. It means choosing kindness over criticism, especially when we don't have the full picture. A small act of grace, a simple word of encouragement, or even just sitting beside someone without expecting them to speak, can mean the world to a soul in pain. We don't need to know someone's entire story to be gentle with them. The very act of being human is often a complex, exhausting journey. If we all carried signs showing what we were going through, the world would be a much softer place. Listening with the heart is just as important. It involves more than just hearing words. It's about sensing what is not being said. It's in the pauses, the trembling voice, the stories that trail off. When we listen with empathy, we give others permission to be real. We let them know they don't have to hide, pretend, or explain. That kind of listening can be more healing than any advice. We all want to be seen, not just noticed. We want to be understood, not just heard. And sometimes, the only way to truly see someone is to close our eyes and open our hearts. It's a choice to go beyond surface-level interactions and into a deeper realm of connection, where presence matters more than perception and kindness carries more weight than conclusions.